can store the incoming data. So the data store is nothing but it is a temporary storage area in the CPI tenant, sharing the database space with other storage components. So in the monitoring tab, you can see the manage stores. In the manage stores, we can store the data which we are getting from the sender system or any other system. So we can store the incoming data within the CPI database. So in the we will see the multiple. We can store the data in multiple ways. We can store the entire incoming message, or we can store the particular variables. We can keep the data within the queues. So using this queues will retrieve the data again and again. So we have multiple ways of storing the data. So the tenant storage is limit is up to 32 GB. So up to 32 GB we can store the data. If the data is exceed 32 GB, the data may get will not get stored in the database, or it may throw some error. So we can store the entire payload, or we can store the particular variable. So based on our requirement, we can store the data within the CPI, and you can call the data from the CPI. So we can store the two types of data. One is local data and another one is global data. And the local data is nothing but we can store the data in one flow, and we are calling the data within the same flow. That is the local data. The global data is nothing but we are storing the data in one flow, and we are calling that particular data from the another flow. So that is the global data. So the why we will need to use the data store is, suppose if you have requirement like the sender system is sending the data, and we need to store this particular data, and we need to call this data in the different receiver system. So on the time we'll store the entire data in one flow, and we are calling those data in the another flow. That means we can store and pick the data. So that is one scenario, and we can store and decouple the sender. That means suppose the sender is sending one data into the integration, but the receiver wants to the receiver is multiple. They want to send the single data into multiple receiver system. So on the time we are storing the data in one flow, and we are calling this data and post it to the multiple receiver system. So on the time we'll use the data store. And one more scenario is, suppose if you are storing the data, if the sender is sending some data, and if we get any exception in this particular data, we need to send those exception data into another receiver. So on the time we'll use the data store operation. So the best practice, the standard practice is to do not store a bunch of data, because the CPI will not handle more load. It may get lag. So the best practice is to do not store the more than 2 to 3 GBs of data. So we'll see one by one. So in this palette option, you can see the data store operations. So in this data store operation, we have we can do four types of operations. One is we can write the data, and second is we can select the data. Third is we can get. Fourth is delete. The write is nothing but we can write the data to our data store. That means we are storing the data to the data stores. So using this right palette option, we can perform the write operation in your data stores. The select is nothing but if you want to suppose in the data store we have here I'm having one data, so we may get multiple, yeah, we may get multiple data in this data store. If you want to retrieve all the data, you can go with the select palette option to select the all the data. The get operation is nothing but if you want to select only the particular data, you can go with the get options. The delete is nothing but if you want to delete the data, you can go with the delete operations. So before going into data store operation, we'll see the number ranges. The number ranges is nothing but we are storing the number in the data store and we are calling the particular number. So let me take on content modifier, the exchange property, taking here. If you click on the source type, we'll see the constant expression. We'll see this global variable. The header is nothing but we'll call the we'll call the previous step header into this step. We'll see the local variable. Here we the property is nothing but how we can call the header in this particular properties. Like we can call the property as well. If you want to get the previous step properties, you can you can write the property name here and you can fetch that property values. The export is nothing but you can already know we can take the data from the export XML. So I am choosing the number range. Here I am writing the source value as ranges. So here you can see the manage stores. You have the option called number ranges. So here I'm I have the option add, edit, and deploy, and so on. So I'm adding the number ranges. The main use of number ranges is if you want to uh, if you want to get, if you want to run the uh, multiple sequences, you can use the number ranges. That means uh, if you want to give the entries as a constant, or if you want to repeated in the sequentially, so you can use the number ranges. So we'll see in detail. So I'm taking, so here what I take as a source value is ranges. I'm taking the same name, else it will not read the data. So the minimum value of my number is 1, and I'm taking the maximum value of my number range is 99. So after 90, it will start as it. If I deploy the first run, the value of this number range is 1, because I stored as minimum value as 1. The maximum value is nothing but it will if I run this flow second time, the number ranges is changes from 1 to 2. Likewise, it will based on my deployment, it will keep on increasing up to my maximum value. Suppose uh, if I keep the maximum value as 5, after fifth run, it will throw an error. Means the maximum value of my number ranges is 5. We'll see this first. I have deployed the ranges. Simulating here. So here you can see in the property, the number range. I have maintained the number uh, ranges that will take the source type as number range. It will take the value from here. You can see the next value is 1. So I'm refreshing this. So here you can see I have maintained my minimum value as 1. So that's why the first in my first deployment I'm getting the number range value as 1. If I run this iflow again, it will change the number range value as 2. The minimum value is 1, my maximum value is 5, the next value is 1. My first deployment I'm getting the value as 1. My second deployment why I'm getting the value as 3. Let me take the different property. Taking the same value, minimum value is 1, maximum value is 5. Instead of simulating and deploying this flow, sometimes the tenant will not work. First deployment, getting the number ranges as 1. Our expected result is my second call the number range should be 2. See, I'm getting the number range as 2. So here, the next value, it changes 2. If I trigger one more time, the expected output should be 3. It will keep on increasing. Sorry. It will keep on increasing. The number range is 3. So here, if I refresh this, the tenant is not working properly. That's why we are unable to fetch the data properly. So it will go to the next value as 4. So we have some more option. We can edit the next value. So I can directly keep the next value as 5. So we have run the value we have deployed the iflow 3 times, but I'm overriding the next value to 5 directly. I'm click on OK. The next value is changed to 5. I'm trying to deploying the iflow. The maximum number of our number ranges, I keep the maximum value as 5. See here, it reached its limit, so that's why I getting the error cannot increment and get from the sequence employee value range, because I am maintaining the maximum value of 5. So we have the option to rotate. So
Could you please,
rotate is nothing but, yes,
meeting is not recording. Could you please check on it?
sorry. Thanks for it.
Recording in progress.
And if
So
possible, just give a brief explanation regarding all these points, whatever we have discussed till now.
So the number range is nothing but we can we can store the number range in the property, and we are calling the number ranges in the upcoming steps. Basically, when we'll use the number ranges is if you want to increment the value as in a sequence range, we'll use the number ranges. Suppose if we get the employee ID from the incoming payload. If you want to sequentially increment the employee ID, you can go with the number ranges and increment using the number range palette sequence. So what I'm doing is in my managed stores, I have the option called number ranges. So here I'm declaring the number range sequence. So I need to give my name of my number ranges, and I need to give the minimum value and maximum value of the number range. So based upon my minimum and maximum value, it will keep on increasing. Suppose if my minimum value is starts with the 0, if in my first deployment the employee ID will get the value of employee ID is 0, and in the second call it will keep on increasing up to my maximum value. Suppose if I give my maximum value as 5, if I run the iflow at fifth time, it will throw an error showing that the maximum limit reached for the given number range. So if you don't want that error, after the fifth call, it will rotate is nothing but after fifth call it will go to again the minimum value. So after fifth call, I'll get the value for the sixth deployment as 0, because I have stored my minimum value as 0. So here I have already keep my maximum value as 5 and my next value is 5. So I have maintained that, but I got the error saying that you have reached the maximum limit. So I want to, I am enable this rotate option. What it will do if I deploy this flow, it instead of throwing the error, it will give the value of 1. So previously it got the error, but in this time we'll get the number range value of 5. After this run, I should get the value 1, because after reaching its maximum limit, it will start from the first. See, the number range is start with 1 because I have stored my minimum value as 1. So we have one more option here, the field length. The field length is nothing but I can maintain the field length as 3. So here you can see the length of the field is increased up to 3 character length. So I can maintain the field length according to your requirement. So I have maintained my field length as 4. So I get the field length character as 4 character. So if I deploy this high flow, I'll get the 30 followed by 1. So the field length is 4. That's why I'm getting the 4 character. At last I'm getting the value. Previously it leading with zeros. So this is the options. We have the number ranges. So we'll see this with the data store so we can get the better idea. Content modifier. I'm maintaining the employee detail. Employee ID. Employee name. Taking the employee ID from the number range directly. How we can fetch the property? We need to give the expression as property dot number range. The employee name is, suppose we can take Mr. X. What I'm getting, the employee ID I'm getting from the number range, and the employee name I have maintained as Mr. X. So I'm using the expression, so that's why I'm changing the type as expression. Here I'm storing this data into my data store operations. The data store operations we have write first. We'll first write the data store name is nothing but what whatever you name provided in this data store name, that name, with this name the data is stored in the data stores. So here already we have the data store with the name of employee ID. So here maintain the name as employee details. The visibility is nothing but the integration flow. Means if you write the uh, if you store the data store using this flow, you can call the particular data only within this flow. You cannot call this data in another flow, because I have maintained the visibility as integration flow. Suppose if I maintain this visibility as global, if you if you write the data into data store operation, you can call this data from any other flow. But if you keep the visibility as integration flow, you can call this particular data within the particular flow. You are unable, you are not authorized to get this employee ID from any other flow. So I'm maintaining this as a global. The here I can uh, I have the entries. So here you can see the ID. You can see this is the unique IDs. So you can see here the first 9, first 8, first 7. So they have stored multiple data with the unique IDs. So if you want, if one deployment, it stored the data in the employee ID, uh, employee ID data stores. So here I want to store multiple data stores within the particular data. For example, the employee, I have the employee ID data store. In the employee ID data store, I want to add 10 to 20 employee ID details. So on the time, the ID, we need to specify the ID in the entry ID. So if you did not specify the entry ID, you will get the value from the one of the header from the incoming payload. So the best practice is to provide the entry ID here. If whatever you have provide the entry ID, that will added here in the ID section. So this ID should be unique. So if you want to fetch the particular employee data, you can retrieve based on the IDs. So if for example, if you maintain this ID as a constant, if you want to store the multiple data, it will override the already created ID. It will not if it will not add one more data. Let me show you. I'll maintain this entry ID as a constant as 1. So we'll see this later. I'm having the I'm storing the one employee detail. The employee name is X. Refreshing here. See, I have created the one data store with the name of employee detail. As I maintained the data store name as employee details. So in this name, it created the data store. And you can see the scope of the data is global, because I have maintained the visibility as a global. That means you can call this employee detail in any, you can call this employee detail in another flow as well. But you can see this employee ID, this is the local scope. You can call this employee ID within the particular flow. You cannot call this employee ID in our flow, because the scope is the local. But the employee details is in the global state. You can call this employee details in any other iflows. So here you can see I have maintained the entry IDs one as a constant. So I have created, I'm getting the IDs one, and I'm getting the message ID. uh, Click on this, and I'm downloading this. I'm opening this payload. I can see the employee with the employee name as X. The employee ID is 0001 because I have maintained the field length of 4 character followed by it should start with 1, right? So that's why the employee ID it started with 1 based on my number ranges. Suppose I have stored the one employee details. So I want to add another employee because the sender is sending multiple employee details. In the first call, the sender is send one employee detail. In the second call, the sender is sending one more employee details. The employee name is Mr. Y. I am deploying this flow. Our expectation is to create one more entry with for the employee Y, because I have already the employee detail with the value of with the value for employee as X. Triggered successfully. Here I cannot see the second employee detail. Let me see. See, here I'm overriding the already created entry with the Y. But my expectation is to add one more data store for X, and one more data store is for Y. But here what it did is it will it will see the entry ID. If the entry ID is present, it override the entries. It's not added the duplicate entries because the entry ID is the unique. If you cannot duplicate the entry IDs. So based on this entry ID, we can fetch the details. That's why in these cases, if you want to store multiple datas, you can go with the number range. Number range. So what I did is I have override the existing message. I have enabled this checkbox. That's why I'm overriding the already created employee details. I have override the employee X with the employee Y. If I disable this, I'll face the error saying that hey, you have added the employee that the entry is already present, so you are unable to uh, override the employee X with the Y. So I have enabled this checkbox. That's why I did not get the any error. Instead, I have override the existing data. The threshold alerting is nothing but it will the data store is I have stored the data, so it will wait for the particular day that I have maintained in the threshold alerting. So here the default threshold retention period is 2 days. It will wait for 2 days to fetch the particular data store details. If I am unable to fetch the data within the 2 days, After the second day, it will throw an exception as overdue. Overdue is nothing but it's saying that you have maintained the retention threshold period for 2 days, so I'm waiting for 2 days. You have to retrieve the data, but after it's already passed the 2 days, but you are not retrieving the data. It will show us the warning us. So here it in now its status is waiting. So the due is 2 days because I have maintained the threshold alerting for 2 days. So today is 5th Jan. It will wait for 2 days until 7th Jan. If we are retrieving this data after 7, the status is changed from waiting to overdue. So here you can see this data should fetch at December 11, 2025, but they are not fetching this employee this details. That's why it changed the status from waiting to overdue. The retention period is nothing but it's throwing an warning. You need to retrieve the data. The expiration period is nothing but here the default expiration period is 30 days. That means here you can see uh, after the particular specified date, it throwed an status error as overdue. So it will wait for particular days to retrieve the data. Suppose I have maintained the expiration period for 30 days. So here you can see the due date is December 11. That means it's almost 30 days. If it reaches uh, mm, 30 days, it will automatically deleted from here because the CPI is uh, unable to handle the data over a longer period of time. So that's why the data store will get delete automatically. So you can specify the expiration period as per your convenience. The best practice is to keep the data only for 30 days. After 30 days, you should delete the data. Otherwise, the CPI load will increase and you may face some performance issue in the CPI. So after 30 days, the data will automatically deleted from here. The retention threshold means it will showing a status as overdue as per your specification of the particular date, uh, but the expiration period, it will delete the data up to the specified period. If the limit is reached, it will delete the data automatically. The encrypted stored message is nothing but I'm posting the data. I'm posting the employee data to my data store operation. It will not store the data directly. Instead of, it will encrypt the data in the CP itself, and it will store the encrypted message here. We have seen the override message. Include message header is nothing but if you enable this checkbox, whatever the header you will get from the previous step, that header also will stored in the data stores. So these are the options. We have the write operations to write the data within the CPI data stores. So now I'm maintaining the entry ID as dynamically. Previously I have maintained the entry ID static as 1, but now I'm maintaining my entry ID as dynamic. That means for my first deployment, it will start from the minimum value of my number range. Let me edit my uh, 001. It will start from 1 in my first deployment. In my data store, the data is stored with the entry ID as 1. In my second call, it will store the next value with the entry ID of 002. I'm storing my data here. Deployed successfully. In the employee details, you can see the two IDs. So you can see previously I have maintained the value as static, but now I'm fetching the ID from my number ranges. So if I do the second call with the for the employee name as X, in previously it overwrites the already created ID because we have maintained the entry ID as a constant. Now it will we have maintained the entry ID as a dynamic, so it will create one more entry ID as 002. In the 002 I have the value for X. In the 001 I have value for Y. So in these cases we'll use the number ranges to dynamically add the entry IDs. So now I have write the data. Now I want to retrieve the data. In the data store operation, we have we can retrieve the data in two ways. One is select, another one is get. The get is nothing but if you want to get only the particular data. Suppose if I want to get the entry ID 1, I can use the get operation to get the particular entry ID. Suppose if you want to get all the three entries, you can go with the select and you can get the all the entries. So first we'll perform the get operation. Here I need to provide the data store name. The visibility is global because when I am storing this data store, I have maintained the visibility as a global. Suppose if I maintain as a integration, so I'll maintain it. Case I will not get the value. I want to fetch the entry 1. So the delete on completion is nothing but after retrieving this one, it will delete the data from the data store. Throw exception on missing entry is nothing but if the entry ID is not present, it will throw an exception. So now I have maintained my visibility as an integration flow instead of global. We'll see. See, I'm getting the error saying that no message found for ID 1 because I have maintained my visibility as integration flow. But here you can see my visibility as a global scope. Now it fetch the one detail in one entry ID. Here you can see it retrieve. Now what I'm doing is I'm deleting the entry ID 1 after fetching. Delete on completion. After retrieve my entry 1, it automatically deleted in the data store. It fetch the data successfully and it delete the data successfully from the data store. So if you perform a particular entry ID, you can go with the get operation. Suppose if I want to fetch all the entry ID, I can go with the select. The same option what you can see in the get, the same operation is present for select as well, but you cannot see the uh, entry ID. Instead, you can see the number of polled messages. The number of polled message is nothing but in one call how many entries I should fetch from the data store. Here the default message polled is 1. That means for one deployment it will fetch only one entry ID. Suppose if I maintain as 2, it will take the two entries for one call. Maintain this visibility as a global. I deploy this. So you can see in the message tab, it fetch the multiple messages as I maintained as polled message as 2. In one call, I am getting the 2 IDs. If I keep the polled message as 1, I'll get the for one call, I'll get only one entry. So this is the select operation. The select operation we can use whenever you want to fetch the bunch of data store data. We have one more data store operation is delete. If you want to perform delete operation, you can do using delete. So here I want to delete the L0002. We deleted the data successfully. So here you can see the 0002 got deleted. So if you want to perform the delete operation, you can use the delete palette option to delete the particular entry details. So these are the data store operations we have to perform the store, retrieving and deleting the data from the CPI database. Anyone have any doubt, please ask me. Non-Hadoop. Okay, we can we can keep working on data store operations. So it is a very important step. If you want to store the data and you want to retrieve the data, this is the option. We can store the data in the CPI. So we can work on it. If you work on practically, then only you will get the detailed understanding of these things. So we'll see in the next class. Bye.
Thank you, Hari.
Hello. Hello.
Recording
sir.
stopped.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi. Sir. Good morning. This is Akash.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I'm getting to practice all these things through iFlow integration flow, but I was unable to